What happens when you want to look one way your whole life? Be complimented on it. Have it surround your entire identity. Have people see you that way. Pretty, gorgeous, beautiful. Have that be your reality. Gaining it, but then losing it. I didn't think pretty privilege was real until I lost it. I had all I ever wanted, and it wasn't enough. I sacrificed to gain a worldly beauty, but then it was lost. Hi, I'm 𝐦𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬, and I had pretty privilege, but then I lost it. And this is my story. Today, I'm gonna lose all my mystery. I'm joking, but this is a very vulnerable part of me. And it's a part of me that I've hesitated to share for a very long time online. Partly because I was still struggling with this issue, and it didn't feel like I had the right mindset going in. But anyway, it's been a few years since my last glow up diaries. To sum it all up, I gained a lot of weight. I was the heaviest I've ever been. And then I lost some of the weight, and then I gained some of it back. But actually today I just wanted to talk about having and losing pretty privilege and trying to get it back, maybe? I'll talk about my journey with my relationship with my food and my relationship with my body, my struggle with weight and my body image. I'm also planning to talk about how I'm starting my health and fitness journey, why I started this journey, and the steps I'm taking to ensure that it comes to fruition. Obviously, today's topic is going to be very loaded, but I'm going to do the best I can to be as authentic as possible, be as vulnerable as possible, because I know at least someone out there will resonate with my story. So we have to start at the very beginning. This is how it all started. This is very silly, but I used to be in Scouts, and there was this activity that we had where we had to create a chair with our arms. We got into groups of 3, and because I was the smallest, they asked me to sit on the chair that they made with their hands, because we're supposed to lift up the third person. But what they didn't know was that I am very afraid of heights. So when they made the chair, and when I sat in it, I never let my feet lift off from the ground. And I think that was the first instance where I really thought, there's something wrong with me. Why couldn't they carry me? Am I so heavy that I'm the smallest person in the group and they still couldn't carry me? There's something inherently wrong with me. That was the first instance where I ever thought about my weight. As for insecurities about my looks, that stemmed all the way from kindergarten. At some point on a random day, one of my best friends told me, 𝐦𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 kids, like, it is an actual fact. Kids are mean and they do stupid things, and sometimes you look back as an adult and you're like, obviously they didn't even mean that. They don't even know what they're saying. But as a kid, I really took it to heart, especially because this person stopped talking to me completely. They were the one person I actually talked to in kindergarten because I was bullied in kindergarten, but that's for a whole different video. But essentially, throughout kindergarten, throughout primary school, I knew the feeling of isolation way too well. I was also bullied in primary school. It was to the point where I would isolate myself. Sometimes I would hide in the toilet just so I could be away from people. And during primary school was when I really did not eat whatsoever during lunch. In primary school, I didn't necessarily feel that I was attractive. But when I got to secondary school, apparently I had some kind of glow up because I definitely got more attention, definitely was called pretty a lot more often. I think puberty kicked in and I started looking the conventional way of pretty, or at least closer to it. And there was even a point in secondary school where one guy from my class came up to me and said that he had polled all the guys in our class and asked who was the prettiest girl in class. And majority of them said me, which I'm still shocked by because I definitely didn't feel that way at the time. But in secondary school, I did similar things. I didn't eat at all for lunch. I only ate when people made me eat or I had a sandwich, but that was really the most of it. I would maybe have a drink and that was it. For the rest of recess, I was just doing my homework. Someone even told me that I had homework for lunch, and that is very much accurate. That is an accurate statement. I think I also had a group of friends that were also struggling with their body image. Honestly, this whole not eating thing, I was really just focused on me and how I looked, but I never really paid attention to how others looked. It was really only when I started surrounding myself with people who also compared their bodies to other girls that I started doing it as well. And obviously, of course, secondary school, you're gonna have some kind of crush. So in my head, I wanted to be the prettiest in his eyes. So that was also when I started comparing myself with other girls. Now for my eating habits, it was mostly just starving myself. But there was this one instance during chemistry class where I don't think I really binged that day or anything, but I felt like making myself vomit. I didn't feel like I was going to vomit. I wanted to make myself vomit. I think at this point I was really struggling with O levels. I excused myself to go to the bathroom. I kneeled down in front of the toilet bowl and tried to stick my 2 fingers down my mouth. But I heard someone come in and I didn't end up doing it. I snapped back to reality and was like, why am I letting myself do this right now? There are worse things in life. Why am I like this? So I gathered myself, I went back to class, and I did what I usually did. I just continued starving myself. But I definitely think in my last year of secondary school, I started eating more, and I think it was because I needed to comfort myself during my stresses for O levels, which I am thankful for, that it helped me eat more, even though when I did gain weight, I became more insecure, especially because of the guy I liked at the time. I'm just gonna be super frank. Now moving on to poly. Honestly, I thank God for my people pleasing because it was the thing that actually saved me. I was like, new environment, I can't have the same habits. This is too embarrassing. This whole eating disorder thing, too embarrassing. I don't want people to know about it. I want it to be my issue. I don't want to bother people with this. I don't want to take up space in their minds. So I forced myself to start eating in front of people. Gradually, I became comfortable with it. I was okay with eating in front of people. I was okay with eating at all during lunch. Because previously, in secondary school, I really only ate during dinner. But in poly, even though I was eating, a lot of the time my friend group went to McDonald's. And so it wasn't necessarily the healthiest food to heal your eating disorder. And I also had zero idea of how much I should eat because I never felt full before. So I guess some part of me got addicted to the feeling of being full because it felt nice. Again, I've never felt that feeling before. I did not know balance. I didn't know how to stop eating when I was already satisfied. After actually healing a bit of my relationship with food, actually being able to eat in front of people, actually eating, I obviously gained weight. And at some point in my poly life, I felt like I gained double of what I starved from myself all those years before. During my last few years of poly, I felt so bad about myself because I really had no clue what I looked like at any given moment. In my head, I still had this mental image of myself as the skinny, pretty girl because that was the last thing I was told about myself. No one ever tells you, hey, you're gaining a little bit of weight. They only compliment you when you're pretty. And I realized I hadn't heard a compliment like that in years. But again, in my head, I still had this mental image of myself because for most of my life, skinny was what I looked like. There was this instance where I was buying my 18th birthday party dress and I picked up the S size because I was like, yeah, this is gonna fit me, because usually S does fit me. And also because that day I felt a bit stressed in the mall for some reason. I wanted to rush out of there as soon as possible. So I just picked up the S size and told my mom, okay, we can go. I did not try the dress on. When I reached back home and I did try on the dress, it couldn't zip up at all. And that was the moment of realization that I had, that I was not the same skinny girl that I used to be. This is such a weird way of phrasing it, but I'm telling you exactly how I felt, exactly how I thought it. I was not the same girl I used to be. I did not look the same. I took a good look in the mirror. I really was not able to recognize myself whatsoever. This also brings me back to homecoming. In secondary school, I really was complimented about my skinniness and my size a lot. I guess because people thought it was my normal, it was my healthy, but the thing was, I was starving myself. And so when homecoming came and I went back to secondary school, met my old friends, I felt this judgment on me. I'm not sure if it was all in my head or if it was actual perceivable judgment, but I could tell that they could tell there was a change in me, a very substantial change in me. I realized I really had lost my pretty privilege because a lot less people were listening to me intently, a lot less people were laughing at my jokes. I think it was only really my true friends that treated me well that I still fully trust to this day. But anyway, in Homecoming, I'm very sure that they attributed this weight gain as an emotional thing, because I'm gonna be frank again, I did have a falling out with a guy that I liked. So, and I'm pretty sure everyone knew. So they probably thought, yeah, he dodged a bullet. Honestly, for a while I also thought that way, because I did tie my self-worth to my physical attraction. And sometimes I think I still do. I think I'm still guilty of that. Okay, but back to the point. What you think someone's healthy is could be entirely the opposite. So try not to judge other people based on their appearance. What I went through, healing my relationship with food, healing my relationship with my body, I think it was perceived as she's not taking care of herself. But to be very truthful with you, I think it was necessary for me to really let myself eat in order for me to start healing my relationship with food. It was a necessary and crucial step, because honestly, I would have continued starving myself if not for my people pleasing, which again, in that one instance, I'm thankful for it. Honestly, letting myself eat in poly was also a coping mechanism. It was a way of mourning my friendships that I lost along the way. Moving on to my gap year, I did start losing weight, but it was when I got into my internship that I started gaining a little of it back, especially because it was a desk job, so it definitely did affect my lifestyle. But this year, I started my health and fitness journey again, because I realized something about myself. I am trying to outlive my youngest brother. If you don't know already, I have a youngest brother. His name is 𝐦𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬, and he has autism. I'm the eldest sibling, and I intend to be his primary caretaker in the future. That being said, he has run away from my family in the past. So I started training by running on the treadmill, running outside. Now I think because of him, I had a bigger why than what I used to have. Why am I doing this? Why am I exercising? It's because I want to outlive 𝐦𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬. I need to outlive 𝐦𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬. I think I mentioned this only briefly, but I couldn't recognize myself in poly. I had a skewed image of what I actually looks like, and so I never really had a real idea of what I did look like. I could look in a mirror, but somehow in my mind, things would distort and I wouldn't be able to recognize the person in the mirror. So I just avoided them altogether. I will say it is easier now to recognize myself, but I think I do still want to improve and want to be better. Which brings me to my next point, what I'm doing right now for my health and fitness journey. I started going to the gym. Thank God. I've been putting that off for so long because I was honestly so intimidated. Honestly, I can say now I'm eating right most of the time. It's just that maybe I don't eat on time sometimes, but I do eat until I'm satisfied. When I'm too full, I don't force myself to eat anymore, because I realize it's not worth it to force yourself to eat food that you don't want to eat. Even if there's a chance you're wasting food, just give it to other people. Just give it to other people. It's not a burden. It really isn't. Honestly, with my past attempts at fitness journeys, I used to look back at old photos and think, wow, why was I so skinny? Why was I so fat? Girl. Now I look back at those photos and I'm just thankful for where I was at the time, because honestly I can see now that I was really just trying to do my best at every phase of my life. I look at, for example, photos of me in poly and I'm just like, she's such a cutie patootie. I want to squeeze those cheeks. Yeah, that is literally the mindset I have now, and honestly I think it's a lot healthier than looking at it and being like, ooh, why was I like that? Ooh. Girl, it's not that deep. It's really not. Honestly, it is a healthy mindset to me to think of my past selves, because I look so drastically different. I like to think of those past selves of mine living their own lives right now. So I'm treating them as if they're other people in this world and they're separate from me and they're living their best lives. So it's harder to hate them when I think of them as people entirely separate from me. And it's also a lot easier to forgive them for the turmoil that they have caused me. I think when you're looking at past photos of yourself, it's easy to hate on yourself. But I think what I learned is it's really not productive to do so. You should just continue loving on yourself, because that's also the mindset you should go into when you're doing this fitness journey for yourself in this current state, right? So just continue to love on yourself.
So that's what happened. That's how I gained pretty privilege and how I lost it.
I'm not gonna lie, it affected how people treated me, and it affected how I saw myself too. But the hardest part wasn't the change in how others looked at me. It was the way I started looking at myself again, with that old, harsh, critical lens I thought I buried. And honestly, I'm not proud of it, but I've thought about returning to old habits. I've considered it, the restrictive eating, the obsession, the fixing, but I resolved to choose a different way, a healthier way, one that doesn't hurt my body to gain approval, and one that lets God speak louder than my insecurities. So even though pretty privilege is real, it is not my purpose. Neither is it yours. Your value isn't based on your body. Your worth isn't measured by symmetry, size, or someone else's attention. God never asked you to be pretty by the world's standards. He just calls you to be His. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. You are altogether beautiful, my darling. There is no flaw in you. Your beauty should not come from outward adornment. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a quiet and gentle spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. God loves you unconditionally. He never needed you to be pretty to be loved. So I just want to encourage you that seeking pretty privilege to gain outside approval should not be your end goal. It's a nice thing to have, that's for sure, but you shouldn't prioritize seeking to earn someone else's love when you already have love himself pining after you. This world may favor one kind of face, one kind of body, but God made yours with care, intention, and purpose. That doesn't automatically disappear when your weight changes, or when your skin breaks out, or when others stop looking. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things He planned for us long ago. Indeed, the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Don't be afraid, you are worth more than many sparrows. He never stopped looking at you with love. So yes, I'm going to rebuild. I'm going to get stronger, get fitter, and in the process, I might even glow up again and gain pretty privilege again. But this time, I have no fear of losing it, because that's not what I surround my identity with now. God is at the center of my life, seeing value in me even when I don't see it in myself. And I'm no longer defined by how others may perceive me or treat me differently according to how I look to them. And hey, if you're on the same journey, trying to rebuild your relationship with your body or trying to gain the approval of others through things as fickle and trivial as pretty privilege, you're not alone. But I'd like to encourage you to seek God, who already finds you so precious in His sight and whose opinion does not change of you. He loves you so much. If you need a reminder of this, please feel free to check out this poster that I made for you as a reminder that God is such an intentional creator and created you beautifully just as you are. Anyway, let me know if you're ready for a part 2, where I'm documenting how I'm rebuilding my relationship with my body while keeping in mind I'm already loved by my creator. I talk about rebuilding my self-worth and how I'm approaching this whole idea of beauty differently. So if you'd like to see this, please subscribe so you'll get notified, and so I'll know to make more videos like this. Send this to someone who needs it, and I will see you guys soon. God bless.